me off. Can y'all hear me? Somebody nod your head. Okay. Is Delaney still here?
I'm here.
Okay. I'm like, it didn't even tell me unstable or anything. I was talking and then it kicked. Okay. So we're just going to jump right over to you then. I'm not sure where it kicked off at. Go ahead and introduce yourself, share your story, and let's just start there.
Okay, cool. Well, hello everybody. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, so I'm Delaney. I have been with the company. This is my second go around. This time I have been here about 15 months. And I'll get into that in a second. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a 200K here. I started off my career in sales in the corporate world. Hated the 9 to 5, to be honest. Just never liked working for somebody else or being told what to do or when I could take PTO or any of that stuff. I just didn't like it. And I came across network marketing through a friend who I had actually played college softball with. And she was posting online one day and she's like, I just joined this tribe of boss babes. And I had no idea what it was, but I wasn't honestly a hard sell. I was just like, okay, sign me up. I want to be a part of that. It just looked like fun. Didn't really understand what you could actually do with this business. So my first year, I was with another company. I was with Beachbody and I sucked. I literally was terrible. Katie's on here. Katie Romzik, she was my first recruit ever. And so Katie actually has stayed with me. What has it been now, Katie? Like 5 years? Anyways, the day that I sent her a cold message, I sent her a hey girl message and I was like, hey girl, want to join my boot camp starting on Monday? And she actually was like, yeah, I do. And I actually want to do the business with you. And I was like, oh my God, what? Like, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I was like, how am I supposed to mentor somebody? Like, I have made no money in this. Like, I knew nothing. So, anyways, Katie trusted in me and stood by my side through it all. But, yeah, I literally had Katie and my mom for an entire year were the only two people I brought into the business. And when I got my 1099 my first year, I made $5,000. And I had spent, when I looked at what I had spent when I did my taxes, I had spent over $8,000 trying to hold ranks. You had to pay for your products there. I had all these controlled accounts. It was just like, it was a mess. And so I say that because I think a lot of people come in and, struggle maybe in the beginning and, or compare themselves to somebody who's crushing it. And you have to remember we all start somewhere. So I did that for a year. Ended up coming across Thrive through somebody who followed me on Instagram. And she had a really aesthetically pleasing, page. Like her content looked really good. Her profile picture was good. I was drawn, it was attraction marketing. I was drawn into whatever it was that she was promoting. And I remember talking to her about Thrive. I was like, what is this Thrive thing? Like, at the time, I thought the company I was with was like the end all be all. So yeah, she ended up just showing me her paycheck, and that year I told Amber I was like, I'm going to talk about commissions, but we have to make an income claim that these earnings are not typical. Honestly, I don't even know what the freaking claim actually says, but it's not typical. So whatever you hear, don't sit there and think that we're blowing smoke up your butt. So anyways, I saw what she had made. She had made like $140,000, and I was like, sitting there after making 5,000, I was like, what? How is this possible? So that's really where like the vision was planted for me. I had never seen, actually, the company I was with would never even talk about the comp plan or the money. I understood why. And so then I ended up joining Thrive. This was 4 years ago. And it took off for me. It took off like a rocket ship. We went 200K in 5 months. Literally hit the top, was just making a ton of money. They had rank bonuses going on. I had, my account, my spouse account, and that year I had cleared just about $500,000 in commissions. And I say that, and you guys are going to be like, how the hell would you leave? Like, that's crazy. But I did. I was super naive. I had never made money like that ever in my life. In fact, coming into the opportunity, I had to borrow the money for my 200 pack to get started. I also had filed bankruptcy. Okay, like my finances were a mess. And I even had re-maxed out all the cards that they give you to like rebuild your credit with like really high interest rates and like fees. All those were re-maxed out, and I was 3 months behind on payments with those. So like I literally had no clue what I was doing when it came to money. I had never made money, and honestly, I do like the finer things in life. I've always been that way. That probably will never go away. But the moment I started making all that money, I went crazy. I was like traveling all the time, vacations, like retired. My ex-husband, at the time, like did the whole thing, right? And because of all the success I had with Thrive, I started getting a lot more attention online from other companies, and I did. I got an offer to get recruited away to another opportunity. And like I said, I was really naive. I thought I could recreate what I had done here somewhere else. And I go back and forth with saying I regret doing it, because I do. I would say it was a really stupid move, absolutely. Looking back. However, making that decision did allow me to grow a lot as a person, through going through that failure, because basically I left, had a little bit of success in the beginning, but made a fraction of what I had made here. And it's not just about the money, the culture of the new place I had went, didn't align with me at all. If you know my brand, I'm very like bold, and I say F bombs a lot. And the company I went to was very, very like vanilla. Like, you cannot talk like that. Do not post like that. No. And like telling my team that. And I was like, okay, well, if I can't be me, like, what am I doing? So I kind of shut down. And then it's really hard to make money in this space when you're not able to be authentically yourself. So yeah, I made a fraction of what I had made. I lost it all. So, at the time I was in a really toxic marriage and also just like going from feeling like you're on top of the world, you've made all this money, you've made something of yourself, like you've built this business, to then watching it kind of crumble. And then, for 2 years, I had tried, I call it, I went on tour. I tried 3 companies. I was that, person who hopped around. And I was searching for what we had here, and I could not find it anywhere, from compensation. Sorry, I was going down. Compensation to products to the income. And so, anyways, long story short, reconnected with my sponsor here, and we kind of talked things out, and a phone call to Mr. Camper was made about, having me come back, and I was given the green light. And so I jumped all over it. And it's crazy because going from making all that money, and I had a team of a couple thousand people, to, before coming back to Thrive this last time, I was down to where I was making less than $1,700 a month on my own. My team was like barely anything, like maybe 30 people. And I tell you that because, I think it should be inspiring that you can build something, lose it all, and then completely rebuild it again. And it wasn't just like a one-hit wonder, which I think sometimes we can get in our heads about. And I also think too, like, when you're with a company that's been around for as many years as Thrive, you get in that like, oh, it's saturated. Everybody's heard of it. Everybody has it. And I'm telling you, that's not the case at all. We came in and did 90,000 our first month in sales, hit an 80K bonus. And I was able to take that income from my first month and completely restart my life. So literally said peace out to my ex-husband. Was like, that's what I needed. It was the financial security to leave that marriage. And that's what I got from Thrive, from coming back in just a month. And I know, again, not typical. However, it is my story. It is my reality. And so I left, moved across the country, started over on my own here in Dallas, Texas, got this beautiful high rise. And, I've always been just like a risk taker. Like, I was like, I knew what I had my hands on with this, that it would continue to blossom and explode for me, financially. And that's what it's done. So, yeah. That's my story.
I love it. Okay, I have a couple questions
Sure.
just off of this. So because like I knew of you when you were here the first time and then all of a sudden you were gone. And
Oh.
then it was like yeah, I was like, "Wait, just was speak and where did she go?" And you know, it's one of those things so when you said like you're naive and being recruited and all the things can you like what we talk a lot about distractions and people being in your ear, like
Yeah.
who are you letting bend your ear? And so I think it's really important like here, like if somebody were to tell me, oh, you could do better over here, you could do more over here, you could do like I'm like, but I know how good I feel. I know what's available. I know, especially now with cab bonus, I know I can help more people that maybe weren't strong in building a team per se.
Yep.
So, like, what would you say to that? Like, for somebody that maybe got some people that are, nah, nah, nah,
In
nah.
there. Yeah. I would say that's never gonna probably go away. You have to build up a mindset that here's how I look at it. Here's one thing I learned is I do not make a decision, and it's hard because sometimes I by nature am very impulsive. Um, but I have learned through making mistakes and things that I regret doing that I do not make decisions now when I'm not in a good headspace. I do not make decisions when things are going bad. It's very easy to look left, look right, get, what's the word? Not triggered by something else, but you feel drawn to something else when things are going bad, right? And I think that's where you have to realize that that's just kind of the nature of the business we're in. There's going to be highs and lows. Like it is not always like I recently was in a bad headspace for a couple weeks, where I just felt blah because it's I was somebody and maybe you guys can relate and I think that's why a lot of people do hop around a lot in this industry but I was addicted to like the dopamine of launching something new, the excitement of something new, right? And I'm telling you after doing that multiple times in a row that doesn't ever go away, like that doesn't get resolved by just continuing to change companies and try different things like that. Like I have learned that, staying through the hard seasons, it always gets better again. Like you always find that excitement again. And I probably go through it like 3 times a year. So I would say that do not make decisions during those moments. It's really easy to do that. But also from somebody who I feel like I've not only tried I didn't just go to like a random company. I went to what I would consider other very top companies out there that would be competitors, and it was just not comparable. And the biggest thing that attracted me to leave at the time, this was 4 years ago, one of the things was the fact that some of these other business models had the ability for you to make a lot of money doing just the customer side instead of having to build a team where I felt like Thrive before was like very focused on recruitment and bonuses, which I'm great at, right? But maybe the average person coming in wasn't. And so now that we have Cab, that is such a game changer because that is so appealing to somebody who wants to work this just as an affiliate or doesn't want to build a team. And I would say that's where your marketing should be focused now because so many people are drawn to that. Like that's probably one of the biggest objections I've gotten over my career is like, I'm not good at building a team or I don't want to build a team. And before it was hard to say like, okay, you can make big money without doing that, right? But now you can. And I'm experiencing that now that I'm also focusing on the customer side of things is I'm seeing these big bonuses coming in by just customers. So I think that would be my advice when it comes to that. And just like, don't just give it time. Like you have to really give this time and ask yourself if you're actually giving it your full effort. Like I could always be doing more. I know that. Even when I'm having my best times, I could always be doing more. But yeah, truly from somebody who has been around in the network marketing space, there's nothing else comparable to what we have here. And I truly believe that. And that's why I say, as much as I regret leaving, my conviction for this company and what we have grew because I got to experience the grass on the other side and it wasn't greener, and that's just personally what I feel like. But yeah, and I have a whole team that followed me and all were like, oh my gosh, let's go back. Like they were all so excited to come back. And now like we're rooted.
I love that. I love that because I hate that you left and had to go through all that, but
Yep.
then at the same time, it's just part of your story.
Yeah.
And I love that now that you can be like the poster child per se, right? Of don't go. Like
Yeah.
don't go.
Yeah.
It's not better. And sometimes we all have to go through, we have to learn the hard way, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
learning that with my 22-year-old. He's having trying to learn the hard way, and it is what it is. I was
Yeah.
that age too. But I love here. So okay, so right now, like there's so much going on that in the world, in Lavelle, in your team, it doesn't matter. Like there's always stuff going on, right? There's drama everywhere you turn. Everybody's like, oh, it's so drama this, drama that. I'm in the moto world with my kid racing motocross. I literally am getting messages on Sunday, somebody trying to pull me into like moto mom drama. And I'm like, oh, I don't want any part of that. So like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So just be focused on what you have here. But you can restart here at any point. And like for me, like I've never not worked my business. Sometimes I maybe have been too involved in like team versus
Hmm.
balancing both. But like right now, like I'm doing all of it and I'm more, excuse me, I think I have higher PPA and higher customer retention than I've ever had, and I've been here 11 years. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm not, and I I'm learning, and some people are like, oh, we're seeing all these numbers and I can't do 50 and I'm not this. But don't just remember, don't compare yourself to others. So I love Katie Bars. I'm gonna call you out. I see you on here. So Katie and I were like one away from each other, same number of customers headed towards 30. She beat me to 30. And because she was like, race yet? And I was like, yeah, let's go. She beat me to 30. And when she sent me the shout out, I was like, dang it, you beat me. And she said, the only person I'm in competition with is myself. And yeah, because we can be fun, right? Like, oh, I'll race you there, who gets get away first or whatever, right? But that's the solid truth. So when you see numbers like Lindsay Coggins, her numbers the other day, freaking phenomenal. I'm not Lindsay, and that's okay. Like, and I'm not Delanie. And you know what? You can want more for yourself without comparing yourself to somebody that's just in a different route, different journey. Because like you don't have kids, right? Like
Just
single,
two
well, you're
dogs.
in a relationship, but you're yeah, so it's you're a dog mom. So like your life is different. Your
Yeah.
time is different. What you're allowed with yourself are different. Katie, what are you saying? Polar opposite. Yes, Katie and I are polar opposites, but dang it, get you a Katie in your life. I love her. Okay. So, all right, let's see. Talk to us about cab. What are you at now?
Right now, I'm at 66. And I'll be honest with you.
Shit.
Yeah, but what's really cool about that, I'm just being completely real here. I went ham in the month of January on it and ended at 110, which was insane because I'll be honest, I've never been customer focused. Even though I have this great transformation, I've always been business focused. I sign everybody up as a promoter pretty much, and that those are the conversations that I've always had is and that's my marketing has always usually been recruiting focused. And so coming in with the cab and my rank bonus had ended, and I was like, well, I can either sit here and just complain and be like, woe's me that my, checks are different because of the bonus, or I can shift my focus into the customer side. And so I even the last couple weeks where I would say been on my A game as much since Puerto Rico, a lot of this is just residual like reorders, which is amazing. I'm like, okay, so it's not like I have to go out there and get, 100 new people every month. Like I would say 70% of these 66 people are people that ordered maybe in January and February and they're reordering. And that's beautiful. I'm like,
Yeah, you just have to be customer service to what you
yes,
currently
yes,
have, and they will continue to be residual and also bring in new like referrals. Like I'm
yep,
working the referral aspect right now. I've
yes.
got some questions coming in, but I want to go back to how you were talking about recruiting, like you were recruit focused and
Yeah.
then switching. So how did you, because I've got a lot of people on here that are like, I can bring in promoters like nobody's business. That's not me, by the way. But that they're like, I can bring in promoters like nobody's business. Running after cab has been a different mental switch. What did
Completely
you
different.
switch to do that and as awesomely as you're doing it?
So I'm a very one-track minded person, and I'm trying to work on that so that like you said, you get sometimes too into like one area of the business. But I feel like when you're new to something, you kind of have to like master it and go all in on it. And that's how I felt with the customer side because I kind of felt like I was like back to the basics because I before like I would send out 10 sample packs and never follow up with one of those people and be like, how did you like it? Like I just or my customer service skills were terrible. Like I just never focused on that. So I just literally had to completely like rewire my mindset to be customer focused and actually like make that the priority. And I, shifted away from doing as many team calls and as many one-on-ones with my team. And I the biggest thing with the customer side, guys, is you have to get results, number one. Okay. And you have to show those results and market those all the time, along with other people's. If you were to go back to my posts from January, and that's why you can also see a shift in I'm not recruiting as many customers right now. It's not because like, oh my gosh, I'm trying and I'm not getting anybody. That's never the case. Never once in my business have I ever called my upline and been like, I don't know why I'm not getting anybody. But it's because my marketing back in January was I was hammering like before and afters. Like all my posts were like transformational posts about, my results. And then also I was sharing everybody else's results, not just on my team or sidelines, but the whole company. Like, everybody is pretty collaborative here. So sharing every single day and then testimonies. People love to see social proof. So like showing, checking in with your customers. I looked at it this way, like as much as maybe I don't love the whole customer service side of like checking in, I love being able to take a screenshot of them saying I've lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks and throwing that on my story because that generates more business. So I'm always looking at it like, okay, well, what can I take from this that's going to take my business further along? And so I look at follow-ups as not just me doing my due diligence to do good customer service, but it's also growing my business because I will, I don't know if probe's the right word, but let's say somebody's like, well, I'm not really feeling much on day one or day two. I'm not really feeling much. Blah, 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 blah. I'll always ask more questions to where I can get some sort of positive response from them because they can find something. I'll be like, well, are you noticing that your hands and face are less inflamed? Like, how's the inflammation? Like, I'm always asking like follow-up questions, and then that gives me material to then throw up on my story or my Instagram as social proof because you have to remember something. People are gonna believe like almost nothing that comes out of our mouths as salespeople. Like it just is. Like they assume we're editing our photos. That would be another tip, guys. Like make sure your before and afters are actually like as close together in like pose. If you can wear the same thing, like don't have your after photo where you're jacking your pants up really high and or like sucking in like crazy. Like you immediately can tell too. Like I totally can see. I'm like, okay, yeah, there might be a change, but she's jacking her pants up. Like you want to make sure you have like quality before and after results. And I did a lot of my sales with Cab from GLP, all of them. I've only been focused on GLP since January, but that was showing probably at the time, I didn't even say a number of pound difference from, I did like a 25-day result on it. That altogether might have been like 8 pounds on the scale, but I didn't even mention that or focus on that for the first month. I just was showing pictures of the inflammation going down. And I can tell you that like you don't need to necessarily have a 90-pound weight difference to sell. Like I've sold more now just showing my results on GLP of being less than 10-pound difference than I have sold on customers all year of losing 90 pounds on, our old stuff. So like I would say you have to be pumping out results though. That's number one. So if you're not getting results, do something to get results. Like And if you're just thinking to just take the products every day and that's just going to be it, you have to do other things too, like moving your body, eating better. And I'm not like a poster child for either of those things, but I will say when I was really on my game in January, I was getting up early, I was going and working out, I was doing a polar plunge. People love to watch that. Anything that you can show that's inspirational, that's you bettering yourself, people need to like they use that as a source of motivation for their day. So you want to be that light. You want to show up like that every single day. And that's what I did in January and it really took off. And I will say um it was funny because first off, you have to have the people to sell to, right? And that's why there's so many different, variables to answering a question like how did you get so many customers? Because it didn't happen just from just showing results, because as that's super important, I had to build a brand around myself and my story and have people to sell to. That's just as important because you can have great results, but if you don't have the people to sell to, it's a two-way street. So growing your social media, which is a whole nother training in itself, but like really marketing yourself and growing your following is so important. And I look at followers as leads, right? And so, I've taken my social media from 8,000 to over 80,000 well, it's been the last year, but really I did that in the matter of like 4 or 5 months with my content. And when I focused on doing that, the 80 something thousand people are now leads for me, right? And those aren't bot followers. Those aren't like, that is from actually really grinding on content and marketing. And so now I have those people to sell to. And that part, I will say, like it was in January and I had 900 people because I always do a call to action where I'm like, comment GLP or message me GLP. I had 900 people comment GLP and message and I would gather their information, right? And I would shoot them this text that was like a paragraph like, hey, here's my link, here's how you're gonna order, blah 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 blah. And because there was no way I would never teach this, but I would teach you to like actually have a conversation and ask them about their goals, right? But when I had that volume of people, there was no way I had to automate things to just send my link, like here's my link to order. And I converted one person of those 900 people. One person ordered. And I was on the phone with Alex and I was like so frustrated. I was like, what the hell? Like this is crazy. Like what is going on? I was like, is it a website issue? I started like, looking for a reason why this wasn't working. And then he was like, you need to figure out a way to make it more personable. Like you have to find a way and create a
It
video.
was transactional, not
It was
relational.
so
Yeah.
transactional. People just felt sold to. And as much as like I'm like, okay, well, how do I not like I can't talk to 900 people at once. Even I had an assistant working with me. I was like, but like it's impossible to sit there and have a really heart-to-heart conversation with that many people at one time. You can't do it. On top of my new marketing was still generating more. So I was like going crazy. And he's like, make a video of yourself talking about your story a little bit, talk about the products, but like speak to the camera like it's like you're talking to that person one on one. And I did. I made a 5-minute video and I created a little form through boards, which was super simple to do, where I would grab their lead information and that's literally that didn't even do that till the middle of January. So the middle of January is where I was able to then generate 110 customers and it was doing it like 7 new customers a day. It was crazy. And it was because of that personable touch. So I would say you have to do that too. Like, obviously not everybody needs to automate things, but you
Yeah.
have to be able to talk and like care about people.
You can't skip the relational part of
Right.
this because
Right.
it's not like just sending them to the vitamin shelf at Walmart. Like they want to know why and
Yeah.
who you are and why buy your stuff. Okay, so really quick, let's back up. Let's talk about how did you grow your social media? Like you said, you did that in a short amount of time. What if Cliff Notes version? I know you said that's a whole nother training, but I
Yeah.
know like that's a big thing is that some people are like I'm talking to the same people, I'm trying to sell to the same people. So how do you grow your brand and grow your followers to real people that want to interact with you?
Yeah, I would say you have to be willing to share your story. Your story is always going. I mean, I was literally just talking about it like we get on these calls. Anytime I host a call, I could literally tell my story in my sleep. Like that I've said it so many times, right? But that's literally what you need to master is sharing your story, and you need to be a professional storyteller and literally tell it all the time and find different ways to share it and make it like different, but also the same. And I, what I did was and I'm not saying you have to be niched because the first time around I didn't, well, the first time around I was sober. I'm not sober anymore, but the first time around with Thrive, I was sober. My niche was very sober focused. My content was sober. And I recruited a lot of sober people, right? Well, this time around, the divorce, I used that as my niche. I literally was like, okay, I'm gonna mourn this divorce for 2 months. I didn't post at all. I was completely checked out, just going through it in life. And then come January, I was like, all right, I'm gonna literally take people on a journey and use my social media as like a daily diary. I'm gonna show what I'm eating, I'm gonna show what I'm reading, what I'm listening to, what I'm doing throughout my day, my workouts, my products and my results. And I just made it like a daily diary, but I made my content. I used to just post random stuff. Like I'd post about the comp plan and then I post something funny and then I post this. And I'm not saying you can be successful doing that. You can if you have I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like if you're an entertaining person or you have a personality that is inviting and people are drawn to you, you have a magnetic energy, you can get away with not being as like niched, I feel like, right? But if you don't have maybe those things going for you, I feel like have to figure out a niche. And usually it's something, it has to be something that you've experienced yourself or you've overcome, right? And that's where it's like it's your story. That's your niche. Your story is you. So like you have to figure out like what are some things that you've been through that you're willing to be vulnerable about. I've always been super vulnerable, and that's something I know that like people have always appreciated about me is sharing things that most people maybe wouldn't, because we all have our shit, and like it's not fun to post myself at 250 pounds like jumping up and down like like I hate it. I don't like watching a lot of my old content, but I post it because it's very relatable and people appreciate the humility and the humor, or the not the humor, the vulnerability, and they relate to it. And when you can do that and like really evoke an emotion from somebody, you will sell so much better, and it won't feel like you're selling because you're just solving problems for something that they can relate to you about. They're going through something similar. So for me, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna start posting. I was doing like 3 reels a day. And mind you, like she said, I don't have kids. I do this full time, so I do have more time to focus. But even just if you could make it to where you're spending 1 day a week, like for a couple hours, batching a bunch of content where you're changing your outfits, like so you have that ready to go for the week. So you can at least post once a day, but I would be hammering reels to grow your following. I look at your stories is where you're nurturing your current following, right? But like I mean, we all know the you see the same people watching your stories, right? But you have to get new eyes. Like followers are leads. I don't care what people say. I know people will say your follow count doesn't matter. Yeah, I get what they're saying, but at the same time, it is somebody new that you can market to, and it is a prospect to some degree. So the more followers you can get, and you're going to get that through your content on your feed, and that is through reels. That is the number one way to grow your following. And if you figure out who you want to attract, like who's the ideal person you want to work with. For me, I was like, I want to work with other women who are wanting to become financially independent, who are either in a shitty situation with like a toxic marriage, toxic relationship, or have just gotten out of one and are struggling. Maybe it's like a single mom who just got divorced. Like anybody that's going through that can relate to what I'm going through. And what I did was I just made all my content around divorce and like healing. Some of it was educational, some of it was just to be funny. Like I made some funny ones about divorce. But what I did was I would make sure when I scrolled, I was intentional. So like we all scroll, like I do it too. I do it all the time where I'll just lay on the couch and I'll watch the explore page. But now I do it in a way that like while I'm scrolling, I'm also always thinking like, oh, how could I turn this? Like if something catches my eye or I think it's funny, like, oh, how could I make this on brand for the divorce? And it's hard because I am somebody who is a multi-faceted person. Like I have multiple things I'm passionate about. So I had to really get narrowed down and be like, no, 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 we're not making reels about my dogs today. Like today, but if I want to put my dogs in it, I'm just going to put like a trending audio and put something like, my dog, or I'm not the only one who's benefited from getting out of a toxic situation, and I'm showing myself playing with the dogs at the dog park. So like, see how I always try to tie it back to the main brand of the niche. So I would say figure out, I mean, niche training is so hard. I don't even like to do it in a broad thing because it's so individualized because again it's you, it's your story, but figure out what it is that you have overcome, that you are passionate about, that you can share, and then create all your content around that. Find other people who are posting about it, and I'm not saying copy them, but take ideas from them and make it into your own. Like a lot of my stuff is not original ideas. It's me seeing something and I'm like, oh my God, that's hilarious. But how can I make it better? How can I make it more on brand for me? And I redo it, and that's it.
Just use it as inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Jason, my husband will send me stuff all the time. Oh, you should redo this reel. You should make this.
Yep.
You should do, and I like have to make it myself, but I'm like, oh yeah, I like totally relate to that. Or, like the clumsy girl, like that's so me. And so I'm like, oh, I could
Yeah.
probably pull a ton of those out. Okay. So the next thing is somebody had asked, how do you keep up with that many customers and customer service for them? Like, what does that look like? Laney, computer, phone, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, I am not the most organized. I'm like the most type B person out there. So it's kind of all over the place. Like I text myself a lot of like reminders. I have myself pinned on my text, so I literally will screenshot like okay, and I leave that unread, so I know at the end of the day I go back in there and I look at like what I texted myself, like oh you need to send a sample to so and so, you need to follow up with so and so. I do have an assistant that helps, but I don't have her as heavily involved right now because I'm just very focused on the customer side myself. But I created I'm not saying you have to do this, but personally created a Facebook group called the Babe Cave where I just put all my clients in there, and there's like a chat for it. And that personally, because of the volume of people, was able to help me kind of like manage everybody at once without having to individually do so much. Like when, the promo the other night, I went live in there and told them about it. So that helps, but also I am very big on setting expectations. Same way on the business side. I tell my clients, I'm like, listen, if something is wrong or you need something, I need you to come to me. So I've kind of trained them to, my phone's always going off with them needing something, but they come to me and at least I know like, hey, these are the people that need something. My messages that are unread, I'll go through and respond to. But I am not, I would say I'm mastering right now the inquiry of like getting all the customers in and like keeping up with like making them feel like they're a part of a community and everything. But as far as like individually reaching out constantly, I haven't mastered that part. So I'm just being honest.
Well, and I will tell you, so okay, so I've been doing this for 11 years. I was not in network marketing before. I was a hairdresser at the salon, all the things. And so for me, like at the salon, a written schedule calendar, like, and it took me probably 5 different appointment books to figure out the one that worked for me, and so it's the same with this, is it's taking me, and I think it changes as we grow and as more customers, less customers, whatever the situation. I use my whiteboard a lot, but some people are very spreadsheet based. I'm not really a spreadsheet person. That overwhelms the heck out of me. But I'm one of those, like I get into my cloud like a lot. And I'm like my team, my customers, next auto ship, my team, my customers, referrals, my team, my
Yeah.
customers, last order date. Like I sort that a ton and I grab those. Something that I started a long time ago that I had kind of gotten away from, and now that I have more customers again, I've gotten back into. And you, at the time, I think I put everyone individually, and now I just do like a one-time reminder in my calendar. So on my phone, I'll do like 3 days before auto ship's going to run reminder, reach out to 20th auto ships, reminder, reach
Yeah.
out to 25th auto ships. And that comes up in my calendar and it like alerts me. That way, if life gets busy, if we're traveling, life gets crazy, I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, like it's never like, oh crap, I forgot, because I do remind them, I do make sure that they're not going to be pissed off that they ran an auto ship when they didn't want to, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's figuring that out for you. Like you're probably anybody on here, you're going to go through multiple different ways of figuring out what works for you. I am so much better with a pen and paper than I am with a spreadsheet. So like
Yeah.
I have a lot of pieces of paper
Yeah.
and I try to kind of keep it in a folder or combine it. So any of
I
those
would say
that,
too, well, I just thought of this while you were talking. The one app I use that has been awesome lately that I feel like, I mean, there's two things. Project Broadcast, I would not recommend it unless you're like dealing with a high volume of people. But that is like a service I use where they give you a business number and then you can like upload your spreadsheet into there and then you can mass text everybody. But what I don't like using that for is because it texts, no offense to Android users, but it sends everybody the green text. And I feel like I don't personally love receiving that. I feel like those come off kind of spammy. So I like when it's like you can tell it's like a copy pasted one. So there's this app now called Send Hype, and it's like $10 a month. And that has been awesome because it connects to your actual phone. So like what you'll do is you could take, like, you could highlight. Actually, what I do is I control A all my like customer like sheet, right? And copy it from the back office because you can't like export the Excel sheet there. But you copy the whole thing and then go to ChatGPT, paste it in there and say, like, ask them what you want, like it to manipulate the, like, let's say you're like, hey, just send me everybody that's ordered in the month of January, and it'll give you that. And then I take that and I paste it into an Excel or a Google what are those called? Google Sheet. Okay. And then I save it. I download it as a comma file, or CSV file. And then what I do from there, and this is all in the app, they'll walk you through how to do it. They have like a video tutorial, but you'll upload the spreadsheet into this app. And then what it does is you come up with the text you want to say. So like the other day, I was like, hey, just want to let you know 20% off ends tonight with the code spring, blah, 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 blah. And you literally, it'll send every individual. You have to hit send for each one like quickly, but it will individually text every single person from your actual phone. So like it'll be like your number texting them from a iMessage. So and then it'll all be there in your inbox. That's why I'm saying, like, I literally have so many unread messages from doing that, but it's all there. And I like that because it's my direct number texting them. It comes through as an iMessage.
yeah.
Um, and it just keeps me, I feel like, more organized. But that app has been great because you can literally, you can do it with your team if you want to remind them about a call. You literally, and you can save. It allows you to organize. So like when you upload a spreadsheet, if this was like my VIP list, I can save that. So if I ever needed to go back and be like, oh, let me just hammer out a quick message to all those people, I don't have to go through uploading it every single time.
Okay, I love that. I'm like so writing down all of that as you were talking.
Yeah,
Because back in the day there was a texting app. I don't remember the name of it, but it was basically like that and it looked like it came from me
yeah,
and then I could respond in my text. And that's
yeah,
the one thing that I don't like about Project Broadcast
yeah.
is whole separate app and it
Yeah,
doesn't come well and I never know that if anybody's texting me back from it. I have to go
go
check
into
it.
the app.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I really wish I could, it would send to my text to my phone. So we'll check that out. So Stephanie, she said that it has she said, let's do a Zoom and you show us. She said that I think you were saying, Delaney, like everything you just said, it tells you in the Send Hype app.
Yeah,
Or
so
do it?
like you'll go in and you can it'll give you the option of if you want to like you can go through the contacts you already have in your phone and create like a little group that you can just send a message to those people, or you can upload a CSV file. And when you go to do that, it has to be a certain format. So like it'll have a little tutorial and it'll give you their blank document of a CSV file, and then you would just paste your information into that. And ChatGPT has been great to make that like super simple and quick. But yeah, it's all right there. It's super simple. I love it because while I'm because the other day I had to send 760 for my leads and I'm to about the sale. So I'm hitting here, I have to hit send on each one, but I have my iMessage up on my iMac while I'm on my phone. And so I'm able to like respond as people are responding, but I'm still sending from my phone at the same time. So I love it. That's made like a huge difference.
Okay, that's so good. I'm gonna check that out. Okay, let's see. Last, y'all, if you have questions, drop them in here and then we'll wrap this up. Um, Delaney, what are you running for with okay, we've got Elevate coming up. Are you gonna be
Yep,
in Tampa?
I will be there. Yes.
I'm like, of course. Okay, so we do have people that aren't able to make it to Tampa. Let's kind of chat that out real quick. Like, guys, don't forget, buy your virtual Elevate ticket. I highly recommend the $50 ticket. Even if you're not having a group, even if it's just lone you, like that, if I were staying home, that would be the ticket I would buy because I want to be able to go back and rewind. I want to go back and replay. I want the recordings. Because you never know what's going to happen, right? Your phone's going to ring, your dog's going to get sick, like who knows what happens. And then you're like, shoot, what did they say? Or what did she say? And you want to be able to go back to that, right? So I think I kind of want to buy it just because I want the recording. I
Oh
want to go
yeah, that's a
because
good point.
even being live, we don't, our
It's a
brains take a
lot.
nap
Yeah.
every like, what is it, every 80 seconds or something. They take like a 10-second nap. There's some
Yeah.
like science behind that. So, you miss like the nuggets. Okay, so I know one of my girls, Janelle, is having her own she's having her own in-person party with the virtual, with the streaming. They're just grabbing a sandwich platter and getting together locally and watching it together. So, like, y'all, I want to encourage you to do that. Just like when we did the My GLP launch, like, that was so awesome. There were so many people. It was so cool to see that on the screen because I was like, oh, that's my team. That's my team. That's my team. Like, oh, there's Stephanie. There's Twin. Like, it was so cool to
Yeah.
see everybody actually gathering together. So I want to encourage you. One, I would love to see you in Tampa. I want to see you get there. I want to hug your neck. If you're not able to get there, please do the virtual. Please, even if it's just one person in your town or if it's just yourself, get on the virtual, get that done, be ready to grow because Elevate, Palooza, whatever you want to call it, has nobody has ever finished that or come back from that and been like, this was dumb. Like every time we come back, we're so excited. We see growth. There's always more, excitement and ready to have exposure to the experience ever than before. So I want to encourage you to do that. Delaney, do you have any last minute, any tips, tricks now we're closing in on March?
No, I mean we're approaching summer, so it always business always starts to really get good. So I would just say get focused. I'm like giving myself advice too at the same time, but I think it's important to keep yourself in the fire, like she's saying, like watching the conference even virtually as much as like it's, I have to sometimes force myself to get on more training calls or attend Zooms and stuff. It's very easy to kind of avoid those things at times. But anytime I get off of a training or a happy hour, power hour, whatever you want to call it, I always feel more connected to the business and more fired up. Even just doing this today, like talking about it and kind of relighting your fire. I think somebody one of my old uplines at another company, who they're very successful, and they were like, one of the biggest things I would tell you in this business is you have to fall in love with it over and over and over again. It's just like a marriage. Like, there's going to be times where like maybe you guys are just like bumping heads or you're just not feeling it, but you have to always come back to figuring out why you fell in love. And like that's what I feel like with this business. I would say they always said write down 50 things on a piece of paper, like why thrive at the top, and write down every single thing that you love about this company. And then every day go through that list and reread it. Pick one thing on there to talk on your story about or make content about, and just keep reminding yourself, because it does at times, like I said, it's exciting when you're launching or when you're running for something and you hit a bonus, but it's the times of the in between where it's maybe more mundane or not as exciting, where you can easily get distracted. But if you constantly just remind yourself of why you're doing this and what you love about it. And what I do is I go back through, I was just doing this the other day. I watch my archives. So I go through my story archives back when like I was running for 200K. When I was going for any big goal, I go back and I rewatch them and I watch how differently I was marketing and showing up, and it gets me re-excited about it. And I watch other people that are killing it in the company. I think that's my biggest tip too, is study other people who are crushing it and get inspired by them. Like when I feel like my tank is empty and I'm not inspired, I go watch other people in the company that are crushing it right now. And it's not, I never am like envious. It's like, okay, that's proof that there's people out there that still want to buy this, right? Like you can't be putting up numbers like that if this stuff isn't legit and people don't want it. But it also gets me like re-excited about the business, and yeah, so that would be my last little tidbit.
I love it. Okay, we just had a question come in though, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I want you to answer this.
Okay.
You're okay with that. She
No, you're
said,
fine.
do you have ways to keep your customers coming back? Cashback credits, how do you keep customer retention with each month with so many people?
So I do a monthly giveaway for anybody who's ordered for the month. And I do that. I do the free wheel spinner on, you can just type in like free name picker on Google, and I'll paste everybody. I have ChatGPT. I just put my report in there and I'm like, give me the first and last name of everybody who ordered this month. And then I put that into the wheel spinner, and then I take a video of me drawing it, and then I drop it in to my group on Facebook. I don't talk a lot I don't like to train about the group, because I don't feel like, do not think you have to go out and create a Facebook group, because it's a lot of work, and you don't need, I haven't done that until I got to the point where I was like, oh my God, there's so many people. You can just you can do something like that and just put it on your story. Like I've done that where I'm like drawing the winner in front of my audience, like just to show that I'm actually picking somebody. But like January, I did a walking pad. Last month, I have a ton of products. So I did like a whole thing of like free product. I haven't decided what I'm doing this month, but yeah, I do a giveaway for anybody who's ordered for the month. And then if I have credits, like extra credits, I'll do stuff like that. But I don't lead a lot with, we as a company have a lot of promos. So I don't like to have it where somebody's always expecting a sale. So I'm not really doing much on top of what the company rolls out personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they give so much already.
Yeah, they
They
do.
really do. So thank you so much.
You're
Guys,
welcome. Thanks for having
thank
me.
you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for jumping on. Give yourself a pat on the back for doing something good for your business today. And let's go rock out the rest of the month. Bye, y'all.
Bye.